Hi, welcome to our Charlie Speaks. In this video we are going to see about movie called Marriage Story. Marriage Story is more compelling as an account not of love but of its absorption into the language of law. Star cast: Scarlett Johansson, Adam Driver, Laura Dern, Ajay Robertson, Julie Hagerty, Alan Alda, Ray Liotta. Directed by Noah Baumbach. Running time 2 hours 16 minutes. Marriage Story opens with a recitation of observed qualities, some profound, others typically quirky, that Charlie, Adam Driver, and Nicole, Scarlett Johansson, love about each other. She makes people feel comfortable about even embarrassing things, says Charlie, as loose-limbed, handheld shots show intimate images of the subject of his affections. She listens, she chooses great presents, she's brave, she's a mother who plays, really plays. Nicole's own account appears no less glowing, citing the ease with which Charlie cries in movies, the fact he loves being a dad, that he's brilliant, energy conscious, and never lets other people keep him from what he wants to do. Noah Baumbach's masterful The Squid and the Whale, two young boys come to terms with the acrimonious separation of their parents. In While We're Young, the nostalgic allure of youth tests a midlife crisis-ridden marriage. Both Margot at the Wedding and the Meyerowitz stories feature a divorcee, or an about-to-be divorcee, caught in a complex, anguished nexus of familial dysfunction. This makes Baumbach's latest film, Marriage Story, which premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival, both familiar and new. It's the story of two New York artists, autobiographical archetypes that Baumbach frequently satirizes in his work, undergoing a divorce. But this time, Baumbach steps away from the sidelines and enters the fray. While the legal procedural thread underwrites the narrative, tonally, Marriage Story slips nimbly between registers ranging from tender emotional drama to laugh-out-loud screwball comedy. A scene involving the serving of divorce papers turns tragedy into farce, while Nicole's instruction to her mother, splendidly played by Julie Hagerty, to stop loving Charlie, provokes laughter and tears in equal measure. There's even a musical element, with the diegetic deployment of Stephen Sondheim's songs packing an unexpected emotional punch, while Randy Newman's contrapuntally romantic score ensures that our heartstrings are pulled in several directions at once. At the center of it all, however, are a pair of brilliant performances by Johansson and Driver, both of whom embrace and inhabit their characters' flaws and foibles. In the supporting roles, Dern is superb. Watch her deadpan the punchline to a riff about Tom Petty's royalties, ha! Ray Liotta kills it as a lawyer operating somewhere between reasonable and crazy, and Alan Alda offers a softening influence, perfectly in tune with the ultimately forgiving attitude that lifts this film to a higher level. By the time Marriage Story begins, all this is already in the past and the separation has been initiated. The subject of the film isn't why they're parting, but how, exactly. How do they protect their sweet, but demanding 7-year-old son, Henry, from the drastic changes that are bound to ensue? How do they divide their lives across two far-apart coasts? And most significantly, how do they reconcile the fact that they still genuinely care for each other with the realization that they make for a deeply unhappy couple? Charlie insists upon the fantasy of an amicable breakup, navigated with therapists instead of lawyers, but Nicole realizes that extricating her life from Charlie's requires a more clear-eyed and unsentimental approach. She fires the first shot, hiring celebrity lawyer Laura Dern, to fight her case. Marriage Story hunkers down on what Baumbach has described in interviews as the divorce industrial complex, a dehumanizing bureaucratic process which reduces something as intimate as a separation into a series of arbitrary rules and exorbitant courtroom battles. Late to the game, Charlie is forced to confront the confounding nitty-gritty of divorce law. Since Nicole files for divorce while in Los Angeles, Charlie can only contest her in the same city. If Charlie doesn't visit Los Angeles often, he looks like a neglectful parent, and if he does visit, he weakens the case to move his son back to New York. If he doesn't respond in 30 days, he concedes by default. He also has to pay 30% of Nicole's lawyer fees. Most insidiously, he can't use any lawyer Nicole has already consulted, and on Norris' orders, she meets with 11 of the best to ensure that she has the upper hand. Not only do these legal back and forths form the most insightful parts of the film, but they also yield some of its best performances and lines, especially from Charlie and Nicole's lawyers. Alan Alda plays Bert Spitz, an elderly lawyer who impresses Charlie with his ability to bring genuine empathy to the divorce process. Alda is gentle and firm in the role, gracefully delivering some of the film's most profound aphorisms. Divorce is like death without a body. More troublingly, the script seems to give Nicole the short end of the stick. We dwell in Charlie's world, seeing him in all his faults and virtues. He is woefully oblivious, so adamant to have his way that he can't even acknowledge that his son is actually happier in LA. And yet, he's a wonderfully caring father, a great boss and director to his theater troupe, and a self-made man whose abusive childhood has made him stubborn in his desire for a certain kind of family life. With Nicole, however, there's much left unexplored. It's never fully explained why she so wants to move to LA, what her ambitions are, or what influence her TV actress mother, who dotes on Charlie, much to Nicole's chagrin, have had on her. The film makes the same folly as Charlie. It refuses to consider Nicole beyond her grievances with him, effectively reducing her to an extension of her husband. Finally, my opinion on Marriage Story is nevertheless an intensely watchable film, whether due to Driver and Johansson's earnest performances and on-screen charm, or Baumbach's ability to capture urban spaces, New York and Los Angeles, in this case, with evocative detail. But it's also a slight and sometimes bland film, whose protagonists never truly get under your skin. Ultimately, the film is more compelling as an account not of love, but of its absorption into the language of law, i.e., as a divorce story, rather than a marriage story. Thanks for watching the video.